Okay. And we are live. Good afternoon, everyone. This is our 5 o'clock webinar. So I think we will just introduce ourselves. So you probably recognize us by now. My name is Emily. I'm here from Milan. I work in our central school, Milan Meravigli, and I'm from the UK, from the middle of England originally. And I'm with my colleague this afternoon.
Hi everyone, my name is Sean. I am Irish. I come from the west of Ireland and I work in the same school as Emily and I've been there since September.
Yeah, just a little less time than me. I think I started in June, so quite similar. And as you can see in the banner, please do introduce yourselves to us. Please say your name and what school you go to. Perfect. So we have two people from Milan already. Claudio, Valentina, welcome.
Yeah, go Milan.
Yeah, very sunny Milan at the moment.
Yeah, it's a bit of a shame in quarantine that the weather is so nice, but still.
And hi to Elena from Verona and Alessia from Rome. Lovely. Okay, so we are talking about school days today. Is this a topic that interests you, Sean? Do you enjoy thinking about school? Oh, I think he's having maybe some connection problems. Yeah, I'm sure he'll come back when possible. So maybe while we wait, I'll just go through what we're going to talk about today. Okay, so Alessia, yes, you enjoy thinking about school. That's great. Okay, because I know a lot of people either are very nostalgic about school or they are very happy that they have left. It's normally one or the other. I think I change depending on the day, I think, but mostly I'm happy that I've left school. But it's still something that I enjoy thinking about. It's very interesting. So I'm not sure if Sean is back with us yet. I think he's working on it. So we're talking today about remembering your school days. Used to and would. Some of you maybe have had the lesson about the difference between those two phrases. And also school and phrasal verb vocabulary. So how you can talk about experiences that you have had at school. Okay. Okay, and welcome to Andrea as well from Mestre, and you go to Verona, Maes. And Ivano, welcome. Okay. So we're just going to start maybe talking generally about types of school. So what type of school did you go to? That's a question for all of you. Tell me what kind of school you went to. Okay, because I know in Italy and in some places there are lots of different types of school. So the examples here we have public, private, and religious. So what is the difference between these types of school? So I think for private school, of course, is generally schools that you pay for, maybe, where you pay money to go to a very good school. Public school is often open to everyone. There is a difference in this in the UK, though. So public schools in the UK are very specific, famous private schools. So some of you may know Eton, for example, or Rugby, which is where the sport originated. So public school in the UK is very different from public school within the rest of the world. So in the UK, we tend to say a state school for a school open to everyone, a state school. Okay, I think most people here went to public schools. Sean is back with us. Welcome back.
Hi, hopefully my connection will stay, but you never know.
Don't worry. It happens to all of us, don't worry. So we're talking about the first question here. And I think pretty much everyone. So Christina, welcome to Christina, Ivano, Valentina, Elena, they all went to public school. What about you, Sean?
Yes, I did go to a public school, a state school, but it was a religious school. In Ireland, almost all of the state schools are Catholic, so it was religious.
Did that change what you learned at the school?
Yeah, I mean, it was a big part of the curriculum. Curriculum, I think maybe they use the word as well in Italy. It's the things that you learn. And we would study the Bible, talk about Jesus. When we did our communion, the whole class did it together. And we used to pray at the beginning and end of every day. So yeah, it was pretty intensely Catholic.
Yeah, it sounds intense. Yeah, my school was not very religious, although we did have to sing religious songs when we had assembly, when we had a meeting with everyone at school, and it always seemed strange to me because otherwise the school was not religious.
Yeah, English people love their hymns just generally, don't they?
They do. I think maybe the music teacher enjoyed hymns, and that's why.
It's nice music.
Oh, we have some more comments. Do you want to take some of these, Sean?
Sure. So we have Valentina, Ivano, Elena all went to public school, Christina as well. Ivano is telling us about his favorite subject. My favorite subject was science, and my least favorite was Latin. Yes, singular in English, so was science. Very good. Yeah, in Italy they have to learn Latin. That's one thing that we didn't have to do.
No, I didn't either.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, Andrea was half and half. He went to a private primary school and then a public secondary school, I think. And then Alessia, very interesting. I did photography school. It was a public school, the only one in Rome where you can study cinema and photography. I studied darkroom, analogic photography. That was my best subject. Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, this is something I think very different about, yeah, the Italian system. They can study really specific things at secondary level, where certainly in Ireland, I'm not sure about UK, it's always completely general secondary school.
Yeah, in the UK as well. Sometimes when you are 16, you can go to college where you can maybe study more practical things. Photography would be one example of that, or maybe people who want to do beauty or something like that. But not generally. Generally, it's very you have to study everything. Yeah, that's really interesting, Alessia.
Yeah.
Okay, we also have some more favorite subjects. So Valentina, my favorite subjects are, so maybe were, but also maybe they remain your favorite subject. Science, English is a capital letter. So for any language, we use the capital letter. Math, biology, and scientific subjects. Okay. I'm guessing, Valentina, that you liked school. Um, Often, if you have a lot of
Yeah, that's a
favorite
lot of
subjects, you
subjects.
enjoy school. I know that's the most important ones as well. They're very good subjects to enjoy. And Eleanor, my favorite
Yeah.
subject, just be careful with spelling there, although it might be a typing error, was history. Perfect. And okay, Ivana is asking for clarification. So okay, yes. So science might have different lessons within it. So astronomy, biology, chemistry. Um, Possibly my favorites were science, or my favorites were sciences, because we do talk about sciences or science subjects. It's amazing that you studied astronomy. I
Mm.
never studied astronomy. Did you, Sean?
No, certainly I could barely handle biology and chemistry.
Yeah, let alone physics. Physics was a terrible subject for me. Okay, Alessia continues. Unfortunately, my English teacher was very bad. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. I think that makes a big difference.
Yeah, definitely.
And
Mhm.
Valentina. So again, remember the plural. So my least favorite subjects were Latin and geography. Okay, great. And again, remember if it is a language, we use a capital letter. So a capital L for Latin. Yeah, that's interesting. Okay. Sean, do you want to take the next few?
Sure. So, um, Valentina, again, I was good at science and English, but I think I studied math a lot every day in the past. So math before a lot. Also, just something to note,
Mhm.
I would say maths. Math is
Mhm.
American English. It's just a difference in regional. Just a note. You can use either, of course. And
Mhm.
Andrea's favorite subjects were law and banking. Wow. Yeah,
Wow.
very specific. Certainly no law or banking in
No.
my school. Yeah, but very good. My favorite subjects were.
Mhm.
Hmm. So I was good. So you're talking about yourself, the first person. You're not referring to the subject. I was good in sports, history, geography, and the French language. Wow, that's a lot of you are very all-rounders. I
Yeah.
certainly wasn't. I was just good at one or two
Mhm.
subjects, really.
Yeah.
Okay, and Ivano is explaining the astronomy, which was in the last year of his scientific secondary school, which I suppose if
Mhm.
it's a very scientific place,
Yeah.
they can handle astronomy. Yeah.
Mhm.
What subjects were you good at, Emily?
So I was good at writing subjects really. So I was good at English, history, I think those were my best two subjects. I was quite good at French. I wanted to continue French longer than I was able to because of a timetable. Um, yeah, I think English and history were my best subjects. What about you?
Yeah, like you, history was a very good subject for me.
Mm,
I don't think it was the writing aspect of it. It was very interesting to me, very inspiring, and I also liked art. So
mm,
art and history. I wasn't very good at English for
mm.
some reason or another. Here I am teaching it, but never mind.
Yeah, I think English is a strange subject because I think this is another difference between English speaking countries and Europe and mainland Europe. Because I don't know about you, Sean, but I didn't really learn the grammar of English at school. I didn't learn how the language is constructed. I only we mostly studied books. And I think that really depends on the books that you study because you can have an amazing experience, you can love it,
Yeah, yeah.
or you can want to never read a book again at the end of it.
Yeah, the way English is taught in Ireland is a bit strange. We don't really do grammar
Mm,
and code English, so things like writing letters and a kind of essays of
mm, yeah,
argument more so than creative writing or literature,
yeah,
which I didn't really
research.
like. So,
Mm, yeah,
mm,
I didn't like that very much either. It's probably more useful but less fun. Okay.
yeah, yeah.
So we have an interesting comment from Valentina here. So in Italy, sport activities or just sports are considered important at school. Okay, find time especially for sport and music. Music is interesting, less so for art. Depends on the type of school. Yeah, I think sport, it was the same at my school. We all had to do sport. It was very important. But music, not so much. So I know now there is a lot of discussion about music being really important, um, but not having enough funding.
Mm. Yeah, there was no music in my school, certainly.
Mm. You play an instrument, Sean?
Yeah, well, I did. I learned how to play the piano as a child, but I learned privately. It was extracurricular meaning outside
Mm.
of the standard school curriculum, so with a private
Mm.
teacher. But they told me I was very musical. I just didn't work hard enough. I didn't practice. Which is a bit of a
Okay.
recurring theme in my life, but anyway.
Mm. Yeah, I used to play the cornet, which is a brass instrument very similar to the trumpet. Um, but I
Oh,
stopped because
okay. I
I
never
didn't
heard
like the
that.
school I didn't like the school band, and I was only allowed to have lessons. Oh, I think I'm having problems. Can you still hear me? Is it just my camera failing?
Yeah, I can hear you, but you've frozen.
Yeah, okay, I
But
will stop my
certainly things
camera
aren't great at
maybe.
my end either. So,
Yeah, anyway,
yeah.
yeah, I didn't like the school band, so I was only allowed to have lessons if I played in the school band. So I decided to leave.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, you I don't think.
No.
Mhm.
Okay, so Andrea says, when I was a student, So remember, we always need the article there. I was good. In is okay, but at is probably more common. I was good at German and English. Unfortunately, I've been lazy and now I've almost forgotten German and I'm improving my English again. Okay. Yeah, I think it's very easy to forget a lot of things from school,
Mm,
but particularly languages.
yeah, if you don't use them, it all goes away.
Mhm. Yeah, okay. So I think we have discussed most of these. Um, but Sean, what was your least favorite subject when you were at school?
There was a few of them really, more than favorites.
Mhm.
I I had a lot of problems with numbers. I still, some reason, cognitively, I'm very bad at calculation and looking at numbers. Something
Mhm.
about them is very confusing. So that made things like maths and
Yeah.
science very challenging for me
Oh,
always.
yeah.
And I really hated any sports, any PE. I was
Mhm.
never interested in those. Yeah.
Mhm.
What were your least favorites?
Yeah, sports and PE was my absolute least favorite. I really, really hated that. Um, and my
Yeah.
school had a specialty in technology. That's what it was well known for, sort of. So we always had to do some kind of technology project, and I was terrible. I didn't really hate it,
Um,
but I found it very stressful. Um,
yeah,
but
yeah,
yeah,
definitely.
I was not very good at that. Okay,
Yeah,
so I
my
think.
school was very focused on basketball, and
Oh
because I
no.
was quite tall, they expected me to participate, but I was not very talented.
Okay. Yeah, basketball was maybe one of my least favorite sports that I had to play at school sometimes. It was too loud.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think now we have a review of used to and would. So,
Mhm.
maybe uh, can you see the screen at this point? So I know you were having trouble before.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, it's just come back there by miracle, so
perfect.
I can see
Okay,
everything now.
great. Okay, do you maybe want to read through this then?
Yeah, so used to and would. We can use used to in the past to talk about something that was true but isn't anymore. I used to be shy. Now I'm more confident. Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
That's
Great.
everything that's up for me. Did you put it
Okay,
all up?
I did, but that's fine. I think sometimes
Okay.
it's. I'm hoping it's not a problem with my screen. Um, maybe in the comments, let me know
Okay.
if you
The
can see
students seem
everything.
to be able to see
I,
everything.
I think so. That's good. So we
Mm-hmm.
continue that we can also use used to talk about something which happened regularly in the past but doesn't anymore. Example, I used to skip classes with my friends and go to the mall. So just to say that example is very American. So the mall is like a shopping center. If anyone is unsure about that, and to skip classes is maybe when you don't go to class. Did you
Mm-hmm.
used to skip classes, Sean?
No, we had a principal who was totally fixated on nobody doing that. She
Ah,
concentrated on it so much that everything else suffered. But anyway, and I mean, we were in the middle of the countryside, so if you did skip classes, there was nothing to do anyway.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. No, I had a similar problem because I went to school, about it was about a 40-minute journey from my house. So I had to
Oh
get a
well.
coach, to get a bus to school. So it would be very difficult to get home if I or to go anywhere if I tried to skip
Yeah,
classes. It would be very obvious. Okay.
yeah,
Ah,
yeah, I think so.
great. We have a couple of other examples. So, Andrea, I'll come back to yours in a second because we haven't really gone through wood yet, but that is a great example. Alessia says, I used to eat sandwiches every day at school. Yeah, I think a lot of people eat the same thing every day at school. I think it's very easy to have that routine. That was true for me most of the time as well. So, Sean, when do we use would as opposed to used to?
So would is like used to in that you can use it to talk about a habitual action in the past,
Mhm,
but its implication is a little more nostalgic, a little more
mhm,
fondly remembering something.
mhm,
Used to is neutral. Would can be kind of, nostalgic. Also,
mhm,
the other main thing is that would cannot be used with stative verbs, whereas used to can. So verbs where there isn't an action per se, things like love and hate and possession have, those
mhm.
ones you cannot use with would.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think it's very important that would is about an action that maybe you remember, um, often nostalgically or very strongly, very emotionally. Because I think it can be negative, but it still has an emotional connection.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. It's not always positive, certainly. It's kind of
Mhm.
just about the passage of time, placing more emphasis on
Yeah.
that than used to does, really.
Mhm. I agree. Okay. So we have some more examples of this. So Andrea said for
Mhm.
would, when I was young, I would swim, wow, 2 hours every day. That's amazing. Was that at school, Andrea? Was that because you were on a swimming team or something? And Ivana says, I used to go home on foot. Nice, nicely done. After school with two friends of mine who lived near my home. That might be a typing error. Yeah, that's nice. Yeah, it's always nice to go home with other people, to walk home with other people. Yeah, how did
Mm.
you get to and from school, Sean? Did you walk to school?
No, like you, I was quite far from my school, not 50 minutes, it was 20
Mhm.
minutes. And we used to carpool with
Ah,
some people who lived near me.
mhm.
But unfortunately, we weren't very close with the families that we carpooled with. So it was
Uh-huh.
always a bit awkward trying to have conversations with these people every day after a long day at school.
Mhm. Yeah, I can imagine. Okay. So if I continue with the comments, so Christina, I used to go to visit my grandmother every week when I was a child. That's nice. Yeah, maybe your grandmother looked after you for a while after school. Okay,
Yeah.
so Elena, be careful. So I used to sleep. We always use the infinitive afterwards. 10 hours a night. And now no. Now I don't. Yes, I think often you sleep more as a child, especially as a teenager, as an adolescent. Although maybe
Yeah.
now though we have the opportunity to sleep more.
I'm finding it quite difficult to sleep because I'm not exercising much, you know. I don't need to
Yeah.
sleep much because I'm
Mhm.
sitting around all day. But certainly
Yes.
when I was in school, I would always sleep through my alarm. I used to
Mm.
always be late and
Oh.
get dressed in such a hurry because
Mhm.
I could never get enough sleep.
Oh no.
Mm.
Okay. Do you want to take the next few comments as well?
Sure thing. So Andrea used to go to school by bike even when it snowed. My God,
Wow.
that's committed. My
It is.
school was luckily too far to cycle. Otherwise, I'm sure my parents would have made me do the same thing. Valentina, I used to see my favorite cartoons. So with something like cartoons, watch is really a better verb. I used
Mhm.
to watch my favorite cartoons. Yeah, I used to watch my favorite cartoons. Very good.
Mhm.
And Andrea has clarified that he was in a swimming team, so that's
Okay,
why he would swim
that
so
makes
often.
sense.
Hmm. And Alessia also would watch cartoons every morning before school when I was a child. Yeah, the cartoons used to
Mhm.
be on there at the weekend, definitely. I'd wake
Yeah.
up early and watch all the cartoons until lunchtime.
Mhm. Yeah, I think I did the same thing.
Hmm. And Valentina used to go cycling to her best friend's home, and then we used to do homework all together. Well, that's nice.
Oh,
Yeah. Um, I didn't do that in school, but in university, I used to always
mm.
study with other people, and it was certainly very fun. But I don't know how much we learned doing that.
Yes. Yeah, no, I did the same thing at university, and it probably wasn't effective when we studied at someone's house, but sometimes we went to the library together, and that was better.
Mm.
Yeah, so it's nice. Uh, yeah, we've had some really great answers so far. Thank you, everyone. I think this is always a good topic for discussion.
Great.
This one. So we have some.
Yeah.
Move on. We have some vocab now, some vocabulary about school. So we have some terms to use to fill in the gaps in these sentences. So please do give us what you think the answers are. So the terms we have are pupils or students, truant or skip school, be a troublemaker, nerd, teacher's pet, and well behaved.
Mm.
Okay. So the second one, maybe just to clarify. So truant, skip school, both verbs there. Okay. Is that the phrase that you would use, John?
Sorry?
Would you say to truant or to skip school, or would you use a different phrase for not going to school?
I'm trying to remember. We definitely had a specific term. Playing truant is a bit. I think we said skiving. I think we said skiving. Skiving
Yeah.
off school. Yeah. But there's definitely lots of different terms for this. I think in the States they say playing hooky or something. But yeah, it's quite regional.
Yeah. Okay. We have answers for 2 and 3, but not yet number 1. I don't think.
Mm.
So, Sean, do you want to read number 1?
Sure. So I was a big something in school. I would get straight A's every September, every semester, not September. So I think maybe because the Italian system, the grading is different. They don't have a context for what straight A's mean. So what does straight A's mean, Emily?
Yeah, so straight A's is really amazing grades every single time. You get the best score every time.
Yeah. So what person on the list gets a really good score, does really well in school?
Yeah, so I think Andrea said this for number 2, but actually I would say nerd for number 1.
So would
Someone
I.
who studies a lot, maybe doesn't socialize as much.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So number 2, we have I was at, so no one liked me, except the teacher, of course. I thought other were just jealous, but I was probably very annoying. Okay, so Andrea said nerd for the first answer, which is possibly not wrong. There is a better answer, which Alessia has just said. So teacher's pet. So what is a teacher's pet, Sean?
This is the teacher's favorite, the person that the teacher likes the most. That they're not necessarily the most intelligent. They're just the person who is the most positive about the teacher, and the teacher responds.
Were you a teacher's pet?
No, absolutely never. I was very mean to teachers' pets. There was something acutely irritating about them to me. I didn't mind nerds, they were fine, but teachers'
Sure.
pets I found very irritating.
Yeah, yeah. I think I was accidentally a teacher's pet once or twice. Like I
Yeah,
didn't do anything to make the teachers like me, but somehow I think because I couldn't help but do all the work. It's just my personality.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So don't hate me. Don't hate me.
No, it wasn't those ones, it was the ones
Yeah.
that were what we would say in Ireland, a lick arse, which I won't explain. Maybe you can guess what that means.
Mhm. Yes. Yeah. So the other answer for number 2, I think a lot of people have got. So Andrea, Elena both said pupils or students, which is great. Um, there's not really a difference between pupils and students. In the UK, we tend to use pupils for very young children and students for maybe secondary school or like 11-year-olds and above. But I'm not sure if this works everywhere. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it is a bit like that because certainly by the time you get to university, you are a student and you are not a pupil anymore. You would never be called a pupil in a
Mm,
university class. But in
no.
secondary school, sometimes yes, sometimes no,
Mhm.
it depends.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I agree with that. Okay. So number three, would you like to read this one?
Okay, I had a ton of friends, but I was a big something and used to really torture my parents, teachers, and even friends. Mm.
So again, we've got several answers for this. Again, Ivano, Alessia, I think maybe some other people. They said troublemaker. That's great.
Mhm. Yeah, Andrea has, I think, a question. I think
Mhm.
nerd is quite negative. Yes and no, I would say. I
Mhm.
think, yeah, it's not really positive to call someone a nerd, but certainly you are just saying that they're intelligent and studious. So
Mhm.
it sort of depends on your perspective for that one.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of words begin as something negative, begin as something people say in a negative way, and then the people themselves say, no, this is positive now. I'm going to embrace this idea. I'm going to make it
Yeah,
positive.
a lot of people would call themselves nerds and
Hmm.
it's fine, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so number four, we don't have any answers yet, but I think we can see quite obviously what it will be. Although we have a couple here. So I was mostly
Mhm.
something, except for occasionally something to go surfing. Yeah, so Eleanor, Alessia both said well behaved for the first one. That's great. So, of course, the opposite of a troublemaker. And then we have to change the verb a little for the last one. So truant is right, but how do we fit this into the sentence?
Mhm. So the verb I would use with truant is to play truant.
Hmm.
Yeah. And then we have to, for skip school, I think skipping school.
Yeah, yeah, it needs to be continuous. Yeah, so playing truant or skipping school. Or like you, I would also say skiving, skive. And skive, I would also maybe use for work as well. If you skive, maybe you have no good
I
reason
I've
for.
never done that, Emily. I don't know what you're
No,
talking about.
no, no. We don't need a verb for that because no one does it.
Absolutely not.
Okay, great. So we just have a few minutes, so we'll see. Maybe, yeah. So now maybe we can use this language to talk about ourselves and alongside used to and would maybe say what you used to be like at school.
Mhm.
Okay, so an example here is I used to play basketball but quit but left because of an injury. Okay. What were you like at school, Sean? Were you a troublemaker?
A troublemaker, no. I was quiet and I didn't try to cause trouble, but I was so disorganized
Hmm.
that I often got in trouble. I didn't really study or do my homework as much as I should have.
Hmm.
So that meant that the teachers weren't terribly fond of me, and I
Hmm.
often got I never quite reached detention, we had a system where you would get what they called a signature. So if you
Mhm.
had, I think, 3 signatures, you were on detention. And very often I would get 2. And but I never made it to 3, but I certainly wasn't a teacher's pet or a nerd.
Mm.
But I was well behaved and respectful.
Yeah, I think that balance is quite nice. You don't feel like you depend on school for feeling good about yourself, that kind of
Mm.
thing. And yet you are not tormenting everyone. You are not making everyone's life terrible around you.
Well, I mean, my mother was very distressed about it very often, but
Mm.
anyway.
Yeah, I think mothers of teenagers are often distressed about something in their
Yeah.
lives.
Mm.
Yeah, I was well behaved. I often wanted to be less well behaved, but I didn't really know
Okay.
how to be. If you grow up very well behaved, you think
Yeah,
I,
it
I I
doesn't.
feel boring, but I don't know how to not be boring.
Yeah, it has to be something that comes naturally to you, I think.
Yeah,
Mm.
and also I don't think it is actually true that you are boring if you are well behaved. You just are a different character, maybe.
Yeah, no, and certainly I think the troublemaker can be very tiresome and
Mm,
irritating after a certain
yeah.
point.
Yeah, this also reminds me of another phrase that we used at school, which is the class clown. There is always some person in the class who is making jokes, maybe distracting everyone, and it can be funny, but like you said, it can be annoying as well.
Mhm.
Okay, Andrea said I was a good student, but I used to talk too much with my best friend during the lessons. Yeah. Yeah, I think a lot of people are like that. I think my sister is at school and she is like that as well.
Yeah, I actually always zoned out during
Mhm.
lessons. So to zone out is kind of to, start daydreaming, thinking about
Mhm.
something else, not really concentrating on your surroundings.
Yeah.
So I never really talked to the person beside me. And because of that, the teachers used to always put really chatty people beside me to stop them from being so chatty.
Oh.
So the teachers liked me for that reason, but that was
Mhm.
it.
Yeah, I think for me it depended on the lesson. I think in maths, I either zoned out or I talked to the person next to me. I was never thinking about maths either way.
Okay. I can't even imagine doing that.
Oh no. I'm very happy to not study maths anymore.
Yes, yes, that
Okay.
was maybe the best thing about ending secondary school.
Yes, for me too. Okay, guys, we are coming to the end of our time now. So if you have any questions, any final comments, now is the time to write to us. Sean, is
Mhm.
there anything else you want to mention?
No, I think the subject really got everyone talking really
Mhm.
well, and just any webinar you watch, try and send in comments. It really makes them a lot better, I think, and I
Yeah.
think you must learn more if you're really participating.
Mhm. Yeah, okay, we just have time for Valentina's final comment before we sign off. So I used to play with my best friend at school during break time or review my notes before an exam. Yes, probably one or the other. Thank you for that, Valentina. So I think we will stop there. Have a lovely evening, everyone, and we'll see
Mhm.
you soon.
Okay, bye bye everyone.